That said, though, the idea of broken windows, where it's applied, we've got all the numbers to back it up, but Dom's a heck of a lot more likely here to whether he be stopped and frisked or be subjected to certain questioning for community policing than Andrew or I. Facts are the facts. Has it outlived its use? Maybe there was a time when Rudy came in when they wanted to clean up the quality of life crimes, but do we still have to do this? Does it almost bring more headaches than even the value that it's worth?
No, because the concept of community policing coupled with broken windows, what we're saying here is that crimes such as jumping the turnstile or any minor crimes have to be addressed vigorously. Because when you see the dirty street, you litter. When you see the clean street, you think twice. You put it in your pocket until you see a garbage can. But I think the error that is made is that when we see that the broken window in community policing works well, we see a dramatic drop in crime. But then the administrations look at the overall budget and they say, well, if we have crime going down, let's cut the strength of the police force. And now you have two dips going down on lines, and that's not good because then crime will go back up again, and then you'll go back to the community policing and broken windows. So they have to keep the force.
Do we have to enforce broken windows to the same level that it's being enforced right now? Because you look at the death of Eric Garner, or you look at the arrest in Brooklyn, and it seems like the amount of force and action taken by the police is not in the right ratio to the significance of the crime.
To Andrew's point, there was an incident where a guy jumped a turnstile, your exact thing. The way they treated the guy, and I'm not saying the guy gets a pass or anything, doesn't decide if he wants to be arrested or not, they treated him like he pulled a knife on somebody. And I guess my only point is, I understand you want to enforce it, but do you treat that person the same way? Do you treat Eric Garner the same way as if he was beating up somebody on the sidewalk?
Well, hopefully you treat everybody the same, fairly and firmly.
Regardless of crime?
Regardless of crime, that is correct. Because you should treat any person that's coming into police custody, first of all, with dignity. You should not use force unless force is absolutely necessary. Force also should be used in an escalation, not you don't pull your gun on someone, you don't pull your baton or mace them or taser them.
And you don't put them in a chokehold.
And you don't put them in a chokehold. There has to be a justification for the escalation of force. But I agree with you. First of all, I believe that no plainclothes officer should be out enforcing quality of life violations such as a petty, trite crime is selling loose cigarettes. We have to look at it and say if the state legislature puts it on the books, we enforce it. But to address plainclothes officers, they should be in the community targeting violent crimes. That's the concept behind someone not being in uniform.
Richard, just remember I made this point. If there's a trial, and I'm not sure that there's going to be an indictment here, but if there's a trial, the first thing the defense lawyer, any first-year law student knows this, is going to say is the same thing that Lynch said. If Mr. Garner did not resist arrest, he would be here live today. And remember the medical examiner's report. It's not a slam dunk. The medical examiner said homicide, but also contributing factors. His weight, I believe he's diabetic or whatever.
Asthmatic,
asthmatic. Those are going to be key factors.
Yeah, and I want to get the legal thing coming up, but I want to just put a bow on this for me, which is, as long as there's discretion attached to what is a quality of life issue, when should force be used, I just think you're putting cops in an impossible position right now, especially when everybody's got a flip phone, okay? Everybody's got a camera phone here. So in this one, I'm glad they did. Let's be honest. If there wasn't a phone here and would we have believed the eyewitness accounts?
We still don't believe it.
There's video. I mean, my point is, aren't we putting even the cops in an impossible situation when, there's a law in the books. They're going to say the guy resisted. But reasonable people, I think, said you went too far with the guy. Well, but then they're going to say, hey, what? It just seems we're going to come back to the situation over and over again.
A very famous author said, or a Supreme Court justice said, sunshine is the greatest disinfectant. Video is going to be the same way. Look, an officer should not at all care whether he's being videoed or not. The officer must make a professional decision. And you brought up a good point. Discretion. The officer has discretion. We want that officer to have discretion. The officer may pull somebody over for a traffic violation. The officer may feel that warning and admonishing them has a better benefit than writing a summons. We do not
Can't
want...
do that anymore with tickets, though.
No,
with cameras anymore, you can't do that anymore, right?
No, the officers, human beings supersede cameras and computers and everything else. We got to have cops have discretion. And discretion, we want a police officer, we want a police department that interacts with the community, respects the community, is part of the community, and has this discretion when to take a minor crime or a violation into consideration.
Yep. Well, this case is going to go a long way when it's all sorted out to see how different
I know you
communities
got to
see
take a
it.
break, but one thing I disagree, you're never going to get that.
Yeah.
You can call it broken windows, you can call it whatever you want. The fact of the matter is there's a sizable amount of the police force that does not represent communities of color, period. So whatever you call a program, you're still going to have these numbers that are way out of step with the way they are for predominantly white communities.
And I agree, and they should change that.
And I got to get to a break. Our legal panel is going to come up later. We're going to talk about a lot of legalities that Dominic hit on and more here coming up in just a little bit, including how this thing could play out, obviously, in a courtroom if it even gets there. You want to say something?
No, I just...
Okay. And I appreciate the time, as always.
Okay.
I have a feeling we're going to talk much more on this
You
thing.
know what? We're off?
We're not off. I'm still going. When we come back, the CIA caught red-handed in a lie. I mean, these two guys going all hour here. Intelligence agency finally fessing up to spying on Congress. But the question is, will the agency be held accountable? And if so, by whom? We'll be right back.